Hey, it's Joe Driscoll, 26, originally from upstate New York, traveling the world, currently residing in London. I'm a one-man band, and this is how I do it. To create the live looping effect, I use a line 6 delay pedal, the loop option. And basically how it works is I have to hit the button on the 1 every time, so gotta hit it right back on the 1 again. So once I do that and I chop it up, that makes one layered loop. And then once I have that cut, the first loop, then I can multi-layer it with, say a hi-hat, or a bass line, boom, 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 boom.
So when I first started doing the looping stuff, people didn't really know what was going on. People didn't really know what was going on. People didn't really know what was going on. So I started bringing it into the show more and more, just letting people know exactly what I'm doing, that all the drum noises are in fact my mouth. And then I loop it up with my feet, loop it up with my feet, loop it up with my feet, loop it up with my feet. So it's all about multi-layering, chopping the loop live, and then adding more and more layers. So usually how I begin my shows now is I say, I let everybody in the crowd know that everything they hear is live. Everything they hear is live. Everything they hear is live. Every.
In my live show, I use a lot of different instruments. I use guitar, didgeridoo, mbire, which is an African thumb piano, melodica, which is like a keyboard, but somewhere more like a flute, kind of like a harmonica, somewhere in between. I use a harmonica, some keyboards, and most importantly, the voice. I use a lot of vocal looping, vocal harmonies, beatbox, vocal percussion.
It's basically, the process is very simple. It confuses people quite a bit, but what I do is I press the button once to start the loop, and then I press it again to make the loop go around, start the loop, and then I press it again to make the loop go around, start the loop. So, for example, I could show you here. So that's like one simple layer, and then I would add like a.
My music is a true fusion of all the stuff I listened to growing up. I listened to a lot of Beatles, folk, a lot of rock, Led Zeppelin, a lot of reggae. Bob Marley was always my biggest influence, and a lot of hip hop, De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, all that kind of stuff. So people always ask me, what does my music sound like? And like I said, hip-hop heads would say it's not hip-hop. Reggae people would say it's not reggae. Folk singers would certainly say it's not folk music, but it's somewhere in there, somewhere in between. It's a lot of world influence as well. I like a lot of tribal music and a lot of just music throughout the world, really. I'm really striving for something that's totally me, but also universal. Something that's just music, Like if you hear the music and you like it, good, It's tough to put it in a box because I don't think it really fits in any one particular box, but I just hope to make good music. My lyrics are, again, a fusion, I hope, of different styles, but always something positive and uplifting and conscious is what I always strive for. Even if it's talking about a difficult subject, I hope that I try to be more subtle than just coming out and trying to sound preachy, because if you sound preachy, people will not hear that, I think. But yeah, just trying to tell individual stories that will hopefully relate to everyone's experience, or not everyone's, but at least some people's experience, that people will, I could tell a story about my life and that other people would relate to it. And I've tried to, it's a simple formula, but I've tried to adhere to it, and I think it works pretty well. Yeah, I called it the origin myth because it's it's a story of how I ended up being what I am, how I ended up doing what I'm doing, the one-man band, and I give a shout out to a lot of the influences I had on the track. And there was actually an experience where I was in the 2nd grade, and I found a tape on the back of the school bus, and it was like a very muddy, rainy day, and the tape was caked in mud and wet, and I took it home and dried it off, and it was Bob Marley, Rastaman Vibration. But I didn't know it at the time. It didn't say Bob Marley, it just said Rastaman Vibration. So I used to listen to this tape every day when I was like 10 years old, just every single day listening to this tape. And yeah, that was a big, how I ended up being what I am, you know. I attribute it to that kind of, like just being 10 years old and thinking I was Jamaican running around my room, you know.
Mom cleans the house, my head smaller than my massive headphones on my own, dancing on my own. Vinyl.
All the songs on the EP are kind of, the first one's about the origin of where my music came from. The second one is kind of the origin of where my kind of anti-corporate roots came from, just being from my hometown. All the money has been invested in malls rather than the community, rather than trying to help children or, you know, making school programs or anything. And the third track is called The Nomad, basically the origin myth of how I ended up here now, just being a traveler and sleeping on couches, as I said, and, you know, just going around the world. And then the fourth one is Justice, which is just basically my reasons why, the origin of why I left the US, you know, and my beliefs about the US, about how much I love America, about how much I disagree with its government. And the last one's called Vision Strong. That's basically about how I dropped out of college, and just because I had a strong vision of what I wanted to do, which was make music for people. And I went to college for music, but I didn't, they didn't have Traveling Gypsy Bum as a major, so I dropped out and pursued my vision.
Here's a 10-year-old white boy thinking he's Jamaican, singing "Chase those crazy bald heads out of town." I was singing "Chase those crazy bald heads out of town." I didn't even know what them words meant back then, but they stuck with me as I grew to be the man that I have now become. To the sound of a drum, here's the sound of a drum. And I was just dancing in my room, dancing in my room. I was dancing in my room, all alone. I was dancing in my room, dancing in my room. I was dancing in my room, all alone. On my own. My hands would shake, the walls starting to vibrate. A young boy, he's so incoherent. Put him in isolation for a vacant wall staring. Tourette's, epilepsy, ADD, whatever you say by me. Yo, it's just my young soul finding a way to be free. So keep your Prozac, no dream, and keep it out my bloodstream. I'm waking up to the vision of one dream. I don't even know how my story's going to end, but all along the way, yellow, red, brown, black, or white, let's all be friends. Tell you, 'cause we could all be friends. Come on, just keep dancing in your room, dancing in your room, dancing in your room, all alone. Just keep dancing in your room, dancing in your room, dancing in your room, all alone. Just keep dancing in your room, dancing in your room, dancing in your 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 room, dancing in your room, dancing in your room, all alone. Dancing in your room, dancing in your room, dancing in your room, all alone.